यशोमती नंदन ब्रजबर नागर गोकुल रंजन काना गोपी परनदन मदन मनोहर गोपी परनदन मदन मनोहर कालिय दमन विदाना अमल हरिनाममिय विलास विपिन पुरंदर नवीन नगर बर बंसी बदन सुवासा ब्रजजन पालन सुरकुल नासन ब्रजजन पालन सुरकुल नासन नंद गोदन रखवाला गोविंद माधव नवनीत तस्कर सुंदर नंद गोपाला यामुन तटचर गोपी बसनहर रस रसिक कृपमोया श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नटबर श्री राधा वल्लभ वृंदावन नटबर भक्ति विनोद श्राया यशोमती नंदन ब्रजबर नागर गोकुल रंजन काना हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय राधा नील माधव राधा नील माधव राधे Jayo Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe. Jayo Sita Ram, Jayo Sita Ram, Jayo Sita Ram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Jayo Sita Ram, Jayo Sita Ram, Jayo Sita Ram, Jaya Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol.
Suggested roles and responsibilities. Suggested roles and responsibilities. So this is what the state and county, what we expect from the state and county and what they can expect from Northwest Share. So state, county, and city funding, oversight, governance, and they own the land and they own the project. They own the land and houses. Northwest Share, know-how and pilot. Teach self-organization. Vetting inhabitants. Establishing principle of governance. Training for sustainable and ethical lifestyle. Work with Habitat for Humanity. Obtain discounts for home improvements from home improvement stores. Use 100% plus strong volunteer base to support. Measure savings by moving people off from streets into communities. Northwest Share expertise and know-how. Composting, dry toilets with composting bins. Humanure garden. Hugelculture for mound growing. Composting boxes using cow dung and biomass. Insect repellents from neem, cow urine, and special plants. Working with carbon and other natural cycles for sustainability. No dig, no plow growing. Water harvesting techniques. Worm casting bins for additional compost. So state funding, Northwest Share know-how, self-organization of residents, vetting rules by Northwest Share, not vetting rules, vetting emitting inhabitants or participants. Vetting participants by Northwest Share, state oversight.
No digging, no plowing, growing, that is equivalent to rural culture from Mount growing?
It's no, and also a box growing, both. Yeah, because you compost in the box.
Like food preparation,
What?
like we know how to prepare, teach people how to cook food.
Yeah, we said that previously. I mean, we can add that. Cooking with wood stoves. Okay, we'll add that. Our approach, changing lives through love and compassion. Ahimsa, nonviolent life. Self-respect and mutual respect, body as vehicle for soul. Self-sustaining, self-healing, regulated diet, herbalism, lifestyle adjustment. Focusing on strengths and working with weaknesses. I guess focusing on strengths and improving weaknesses. Engagement of mind, education, skill building, and body, food, shelter, clothing, natural medicine. Instill confidence through mentorship. Individualized training according to natural tendencies. Volunteers needed for sharing their knowledge and work. Doctors, music, arts, spiritual counselors. Promoting stable families and good civic values. Cooperative living model. Regulated lifestyle, early rising, regulated eating, meditation, prayers, learning, and sharing. Near-term proposed layout for the Pioneer Village. So you have 8 10 by 20 homes. Next to each home is a composting toilet room. Actually, it should be dry toilet room. Then you have a women's bathhouse, sauna, clothes washing, drying. It's a 10 by 20 building. Then you have storage locker room, 10 by 20 building for people who have storage space for their extra belongings. Wood storage room, 10 by 20. Men's common bathhouse, sauna, clothes washing, drying area. There's 2 people per dwelling. There will also be a farm area with a cow shed. Actually, it's a pasture, not a farm area, a pasture with cow. And optional biodigester for electricity. But there'll be solar panels on each house for minimal electricity for phones, etc. So next.
So why they cannot keep, why we need storage?
Because people always collect junk. You know, they have extra things. They can't, if they keep everything in the 10 by 20, they'll just get cluttered. So it's to try and avoid too much clutter. You know, they already have a wood stove in their house, right?
For cooking?
For cooking and heating, yeah. So if you put a lot of junk in there, it becomes a fire hazard also, you know. So they need some extra space for storage. It's like people have garages in their home, they have closets, you know. I mean, it's 10 by 20 for 2 people. It's like 100 square feet per each person, right? So that's not a lot of space. I mean, it's sufficient, but it's not a lot. So you need some extra space for keeping things.
And so a common kitchen is not there? Common?
No. I mean, we could, but you need a wood stove in each house for heat.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's better they cook themselves. It's better they learn how to cook for themselves. Yeah. Okay, Pioneer Village house components. So this shows, you have in fact, this should be a description of each thing. One is the base, walls, then you have some windows, then you have the roof, which is a flat, basically a flat slanted roof. It's not, built like in a V shape. That costs more money. And also, there would be a gutter to catch rainwater and preserve it from the roof of each house. Okay, and then the inside is insulation. So the last frame shows the insulation. Okay, and then the Pioneer Village house components, you have the composting toilet, the dry toilet. You have the house itself, you have the wood stove, you have the solar panel with the inverter, you have the hand washing machine, the hand washer and wringer. The wringer dries the clothes, wrings out the excess water in the clothes, and then the clothes are hung up inside the bathhouse for drying. Or in the summertime, they can dry the clothes outside. So this is a special type of hand washing machine, and the wringer. Okay, and then there's a picture of the finished house. So prefabricated components in construction and costing for the Pioneer Village modules. So this is the costing. So you have some prefabricated components that we will have made, so you can put the whole thing together very quickly. Doors, solar panels, manual washer and wringers, solar panels. That's mentioned twice. The wood stove, and so forth. So 8 houses, 8 10 by 20 houses. Each unit costs $4,000. Total cost $32,000. 8 outhouses that are 4 feet by 4 feet, $1,000, $8,000. 1 cow shed, $2,000. 4 common 10 by 20 wash houses. No, it's not 4, it's 2. 2 10 by 20 wash houses, $4,000 a piece, that's $8,000. That was a mistake. A biodigester plus wiring and everything is $3,000. This is optional. Insulation, $2,000 per house, $10,000. Hardware, 8 houses. Yeah. Hardware, I'm not sure what that means. Let's put a question mark there. 10 wood stoves. Yes, 10 wood stoves. They're each $2,000. That's $20,000. That might be that might be more than that. 8 solar panels and inverters, $1,000. That's $8,000. Labor on top of Habitat for Humanity. Like, if Habitat for Humanity agrees to help us do this, it might not cost much. But if we have to pay for labor, it's going to be $40,000. Doors, $200 a piece, so it's $1,600. So anyway, we have to recalculate it, but it should come out to $150,000.
Why it is necessary to show this one because this will be much higher actually. We just
Much higher than what?
whatever we have done. Like transportation is not there. Labor might not be there.
No, labor we calculated $40,000. I don't know. I mean, this is necessary because whenever you deal with the government, they want to have, you know, yeah, they need to know how much it's going to cost.
We need to talk to somebody who is in this area to get the better numbers.
Well, I mean,
Shoot more than this one.
yeah.
When we start, let's say we start doing it, we say that we need 200,000 or more than that one. So then the question comes in, what we are doing with the money.
Well, Radhika Gopinath did research.
I don't think of 8 house, 4,000.
These are small houses, like 10 by 20. They're not like a big house. There's no, yeah.
In Home Depot,
Yeah.
they sell houses.
Yeah.
That small thing that is outside.
Yeah, they're smaller than 10 by 20. They're only 100 square feet.
They are like from $2,000 to $3,000 like that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this is only we are saying 400,000.
4,000.
4,000. So it's much less than that. So if we talk to somebody, it might need like some wiring, other things should be there inside the house or those things.
Yeah, I think that's why he said hardware. I'm not sure.
That's 1,600 is nothing. $200 like.
Well, I mean, that's not counting the solar panel, but just the wiring. I mean, it's very simple. It's very limited electricity. It's just enough to have a light, one or two lamps, and be able to charge a cell phone or a computer. Yes. That's not counted in here. Yeah. Well, he does have 5% for contingencies, $7,000, right? And we said that the biodigester is optional. That's $3,000.
The food probably, food has to be there.
No,
Per day.
no. This is just to build this thing. Okay. So now this next thing is comparative to other funded projects. So, the Pioneer Village, 10 by 20 homes, 8 homes, 150K, 80 homes for 160 residents. Let's see. No, he didn't do this right. Okay. One module costs $150,000. And 10 modules would cost $1.5 million, right? And 100 modules would cost $15 million. And 1,000 modules would cost $150 million. 1,000 modules, you could home 16,000 people, which is the total number of homeless people in Seattle. There's 16,000 people. It would require 1,000 modules of 8 houses. It would cost $150 million. Yes. Yeah. You fixed it by doing what?
So we go back to the previous. What did you do?
So here it says the unit cost, the total cost was wrong for control plan. So when I added up all of the total costs, it actually came up to about 196,500.
Well, he must have made an adding mistake then. You total up 32,000, 8,000, 2,000, 8,000, 16,000, which 1,600, 20,000, 8,000, 40,000, 1,600. And it came out to $200,000. Well, let's do it real quick. So, okay, so 32 and 8 is 40, plus 2 is 42,000. Plus 8 is 50,000. Plus, okay, we'll skip the biodigester. Plus 16, 50 and 16 is 66,000. Plus 1,600, so 67,600. Plus 20,000 is 87,600. Plus 8,000 would be 95,600. Plus 40 would be 135,600. Plus 1,600 would be 137,200. Plus 7,110 would be 011 for $144,115. Somewhere you made a mistake.
Yeah, I think I multiplied all of the unit costs and put that to use the cow shed.
Okay, anyway, it's at, with the 5% contingencies, it's $144,115. So, I mean, we just increase the contingencies, it'll become $150,000. Okay, so the last frame is a comparison between the similar program in Contra Costa County or in San Francisco. 50 urban tiny homes cost, well, it has a budget of $750,000 grant from the federal government. The cost per person is $15,000. Our cost per person is $9,375. The social services for the Pioneer Village is $16,281. And we have to figure out how we calculate that. But $40,000 for the Contra Costa project. And our thing will, well, okay, the last thing is unnecessary. So that's the main, that's the main thing. The Contra Costa project that's federally funded comes out to $15,000 per person, and ours comes out to $9,375 a person. That's the main statistic.
This money is only for housing. It seems to be like housing, doesn't for daily life. There will be extra money.
Well, yeah, but see, it's a self-sufficient community, so they're going to grow their own food all year round. And actually, there needs to be one more thing we have to add on. That is a greenhouse for growing in the winter. Anyway, each one of these people also gets, if they're unemployed, or if they have some physical disability, they also get money from the government, at least $600 to $800 a month. So that will cover their food needs. They also get food stamps.
So that part is not changing between...
No, it's not changing. No, because they're still unemployed, right? Unless they get a job. They get a job, then they make a salary. So either way, they're going to have money for food. They get food stamps, plus they have a stipend from the government. Okay.
If we're making a community, then they should have an address also,
Yeah, they will have an address.
mailing box and all.
Yeah. Yes. See, that's why government has to own the project. We don't own the project. Otherwise, we would have to do all those extra things. The government owns the project. It's cheaper for them than to support them in the street or support them in this, like these federally, federal grant communities. You see, this is going to be, in every way, more economical for the government in the long term and the short term. And it's going to get people off the street. Now, let's say you have one model village for drug addicts. Okay, well, the government has to pay for the drug addicts anyway, whether they're living on the street or they live in a village. At least if they live in a village, you get them off the street. And then you can give them the special care. I mean, this has to be under government supervision, not our supervision, right? The government's already paying for these people. It's costing them a lot more when they're on the street because they get sick more, they have to go to the emergency room more, all these things. At least if they have a permanent habitation, they can organize themselves better. You see my point? We don't end up owning anything.
So we are helping to run that thing. That's it.
We're helping, you know, in the initial stages for the organization and counseling, not counseling, but life skills, how to maintain the self-sufficiency of the module. You know,
The concept, it's the onboarding guidance and the know-how, right? That's really what we are.
it says here, if you read the last frame, HUD, Housing and, huh?
Housing and urban development.
Yeah, Housing and Urban Development Secretary Kulhane says a homeless person costs taxpayers $40,000 a year, right now. Because at the end of the day, it costs, between shelters and emergency rooms and jails, it costs about $40,000 a year for a homeless person to be on the streets. So it's going to cost a lot less if they have a home. And they learn self-sufficiency skills. You see the point? I mean, this is not a hard sell. If we can actually build one village and show them that it actually works.
I think we should highlight that in this slide.
Yeah,
Even though it's there as a footnote,
yeah.
we can make it.
No, it's there. It's there. It looks. You look at social services after cost per person. Social services. Yeah, instead of $40,000, it costs $16,000 some dollars.
And the government has to provide the land also.
They have to provide the land. Also, they have to provide the exceptional permission for people to live in a tiny house. And normally, you know, those sheds that you buy in Home Depot, you're not allowed to live in them. Those are just for storage. And these tiny houses that they build in Seattle, you know, the 100 square foot, you're not allowed to live in a 100 square foot building legally. They're giving special permission for it because it's better than the people living in the street, right? In tents and passing stool and urine in the street, you know. And they still have to provide honey buckets, and that costs, all that costs money. So here we're solving the problem. You can potentially get all those people off the street, which is an eyesore and an embarrassment for the city of Seattle, for San Francisco, for Portland, for Los Angeles, you have 55,000 people living in the street in Los Angeles. Either they're living in the streets or living in cars or living in RVs. They have neighborhoods where 100 RVs and people living in them.
But they are occupying the government land, that means?
No, they just, wherever they can park. I know a person who lives in his car. Neighbors are always complaining about it. He has to keep moving his car every 2 days. But after a little while, you can just move it to so many different places, then the people get to know you. As soon as you come into their neighborhood, they call the police. Okay, so that's the presentation. Now we have to work on it a little bit more. And I appreciate the feedback you gave. And any other feedback, so that we can present this next week at our Compassion Festival. Any more comments, questions? The key slide is the last one, the last two. The costing and the savings that the government will make by building these modules, small modules for self-sufficient housing.
So we have to show like our strength also in a better way. Like what is the key motive behind us which will drive us to do this? Because that makes the difference. Like everybody might have this type of thing, but they don't.
No, our advantage is this. One, we've already tested out the methods at the farm, at my farm. Two, we're not asking to get government funding. We don't own anything. The government owns it. Either the city or the state or the county or the federal government. We're not trying to get rich out of this. We're not trying to make money off of it. The people that have that community in Seattle, they built those little tiny homes. They're getting grants from the government, right? We're not going to get any grant from the government. We're just giving the know-how and the idea and hoping that they'll accept it. And we're giving a solution for homelessness. Now, we can also, through mentorship, while you're teaching people self-sufficient or self-reliant techniques, we also can give them some principles of Krishna consciousness, vegetarian diet, prayer. And not everyone's going to be interested, but the ones that are interested, they'll listen and they'll get some benefit from that. Lifestyle adjustment, all these things are related to Krishna consciousness. Right? But this will give us credibility as the Northwest Share and ISKCON will gain credibility as a genuine source of research, information, and technical, let's say, advice for self-sufficient communities. And we're also saying that in the future, they're going to really need this even more than just for homeless people, because there are going to be a lot more people who are going to be in financial difficulty due to robotization, due to loss of jobs, loss of income, and so forth. Many more people will be in a situation where they need low-cost housing in order to survive. Otherwise, they'll end up on the street or in tents. And then also, there's the other thing. There are people who, we forgot, people on fixed income. Fixed incomes. There's this one man who comes to our food truck every Saturday now. He bought a house in 1986 for like $86,000 in the U district. from someone. It's a small house. It's worth $1 million today. You know, basically the land on which that house is sitting is worth $1 million, right? He can't pay the property taxes. He's a very low income person. So what does he do? He has to sell it. You see? Is he going to get $1 million? Well, he might get $1 million, maybe. But he's forced to sell it. He doesn't want to sell it, but he's forced to sell it because he can't pay the property tax and the cost of living in that house anymore. Now, let's say you have a house like that, and you have a big mortgage on it. Then you lose everything. If you have a big mortgage on it, and whatever money you're going to get, it's going to barely pay off your mortgage, you end up homeless. This guy bought the house in 1986. How much of it he's paid off, I don't know. But he bought it very cheap, and now it's worth a lot of money. So he's not under the water. He's not in the red. But still, he's forced to sell. Now, there are other people who might have bought houses more recently and have a big mortgage. If they sell the house, they have very little money left over or nothing. They're going to lose. They're going to become homeless. See? And so you have seniors living on fixed incomes that could become homeless because of rising values of the houses and being on fixed incomes. You have people, you have workers, low-wage workers and IT workers who lose their jobs due to robotization. So some of those people are going to become homeless also.
It means that if we go deep into all these issues, I think for many things the government is responsible for by making such laws that making people homeless.
Well, I mean, some people say Amazon and Starbucks are responsible because they became so profitable, and so many people are moving to Seattle, and the cost of housing has gone up tremendously.
So the property tax, the person you are saying who bought it in 1986,
Yeah.
and now he's been forced to go out because he cannot pay the property tax.
Yeah.
So that the government should take care of such people, like they should not take property
Well,
tax.
he might be able. I suggested to him he might be able to get property tax relief because he's a senior.
Is there anything like that?
Yeah, there is. But he might still not be able to afford, even with that relief, he still might not be able to pay it if he has very low income. You can get property tax relief if you're a senior. Anyway, what we're seeing is the more economic development in Seattle, the more homeless people. Now, what's causing it? You know, definitely there's drugs and addiction. But there are other causes, too.
So, yeah, I mean, the style and the way the system is running now, to get a meal on a per day meal, you have to work like anything. Really.
A what meal?
Means to bring a meal to the home, to buy a meal, let's say, means people have to work so hard.
Yeah.
So it's,
You mean to eat, you have to work? Yeah.
So the system has some problems in it. Why they have to work so hard to get 2 plates of meal?
Because they have too many material desires. That's why they have to work so hard. You reduce your material desires, you downsize your material expectations, then you don't have to make so much money, then you don't have to work so hard. But if you increase your material desires, then you have to work very hard. So this is called Marshall's Law of Economics. If someone gets married, immediately their cost of living goes up If they have kids, it goes up even further. If you have a car, it goes up more. If you buy furniture on credit, you have a credit card, it goes up even more. So now you're forced to work. So this is what creates a stable workforce when people are in debt because they wanted all these things, you know. And you see credit card companies are sending you free credit cards all the time. You could end up with 50 credit cards if you want, as long as you pay the, you know, the monthly bill for the interest. And there's new gadgets coming out, and there's, you know, payment plans and no money down and low interest and things. So, you know, people are buying like anything, houses, cars, washing machines, all these things on credit. So the deeper they go into debt, the more anxiety they have, and the more they have, and they're forced to work hard. So this is a different type of slavery. It's a different type of slavery. Previously, they were indentured servants, you know, no rights, but they got a place to live and they got food, and they just had to work hard. Now they get you into slavery, but in a different way, through credit and debt, and you're forced to work very hard.
And the system also doesn't give a chance to a person also that if they want to improve or they want to correct themselves, the system doesn't give them the chance.
Well, no, I mean, look, if you work very hard and you're a steady worker, you make a living, and some people go into business, they take a risk. You know, I took a risk, started a business. There's no guarantee you're going to succeed, but if it succeeds, then, you know, you have more money. How did Bezos start? He just started in his garage selling books, right? Now he's got the biggest company in the whole world. He did it all in Seattle. So you have to take a risk. And at least you can start your own business. There are countries where you can't start your own business, you know, like Cuba or Soviet Union before. You couldn't have your own business. Or if you're allowed to have some business, very limited, very limited. The taxes are so high you can never make a lot of money. Even if you make a lot of money, the government will take away from you. You'll end up, you know, you're working hard, having a lot of profit, but very little money after all the taxes. So, you know, America is good in that way, that if you want to work hard and you have good ideas and you know how to sell things, you'll make a lot of money. But you have to also work very hard, pay taxes, deal with all the problems of owning a company. That's why do you think so many people want to come to America? Because you have a chance to start with nothing and build up a fortune.
No, yeah, that's right, but somehow or other, like, the system here is squeezing people and make them slaves. Like, and it's not
No, they become slaves because they have increasing material desires. If they keep their material desires at a low level, then they'll be able to make money and always have money in the bank and not have too many worries, and not buy things on credit, not buy so many things on credit. You buy something on credit, you become a slave. And then if you have bad habits on top of that, like gambling, drinking, then you're always in anxiety. But if you have no bad habits and you curb your material desires and you have a steady job, then you're never in anxiety. You work 8 hours, you come home, you have an emergency fund in the bank, that could sustain you for 1 or 2 years, even if you lost your job. And you don't have any exorbitant spending, so you're saving money every month. So there are Christian organizations that teach people how to do that. to get out of debt, and then never have debt again. What's keeping people in anxiety and in a type of slavery is the debt. So you buy a house, you're in debt for 30 years. That means 30 years guaranteed you have to work. See my point?
The basic necessity of the life nowadays, like one should have a place to live, either he pay rent or mortgage, then a person should have a car, and like cell phone or internet. These are basic things like food. I'm just counting basic things here.
Yeah.
So is that?
But see, look at the old model. Old model was your family has been in existence for 50 generations. They own 100 or 10,000 bighas of land in India from ancient time, right? And every new child born in a family, they put aside, already has, land, already has a business. They just gravitate into the business of the traditional business of the family, or the traditional profession of the family, right? Now, what has broken that system is higher education in India. So the kids don't want to work on the family land anymore. They end up, in Japan or the United States or Europe, and then the parents, that culture of family dynasty is broken.
One more thing get added to that, like they have like 10 bighas of zameen. Initially there are two big brothers, they will have five.
Oh, they have a fight.
No, not.
Oh.
The land will be divided between two of them.
Oh, yes, so that's...
5 bighas. And then they will have their own children.
Yeah.
So this generation...
That's another problem, yeah. That breaks the model.
That's what actually happened in Punjab.
Yeah.
And people started migrating to... Punjab have very...
No, but what they do is the Punjabis move to the Central Valley in California, or move to Alaska, right? Or Canada. But in one family, they bring all the members of the family to Canada. They buy a farm. They all work together. And all of a sudden they become rich because they're all working together. Right? Now, what happens when the father dies? That's the question. But as long as the family stays together as one family, then they don't have a problem. It's when they start dividing the assets that the problems arise. But after they leave India, where they were breaking up the assets, they come and they go back to the old system here for 1 or 2 generations. Then it happens here again. Yeah. Why is that? Because the children are not being trained spiritually. That's why. So therefore, like the Pandavas. Why did the Pandavas succeed? Well, because Prabhupada gave the example. If you have a bundle of sticks and they're tied together, you can't break it. If you take one individual stick out of a bundle, you can break it easily. So the Pandavas, as long as they listened to Yudhisthira, they were united. Even though they didn't agree with him, they still followed him. They came out successful.
That's the key to success.
Yeah, being able to keep the family. But because of modern education, let's say you have a certain trade, but your kids get educated in the schools, and you think, oh, I want them to get that education. I want them to get the job in Amazon. Amazon moves away from Seattle and opens up in Japan, right? And now your child is in Japan working, and you're still here. Because that modern education has destroyed the unity of the family. Because the kids don't want to stay in the family business.
One relevant question here is this the same thing what is it? Why in America they have created a law that after 18 years of age of a child, parents can ask the child to leave the home legally. So why they have come up with this law?
Well, it goes two ways. The child can leave the home voluntarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if the parents can force the child to leave the home. No, they can't force the child to leave the home. Recently there was a case where the parents went to court to throw their 30-year-old son out of the house. But that's because he was causing trouble, or he was not listening to them, or he was doing nonsensical things in the house. So, no, I mean, today the tendency is that children live with the family up to 30, 35 years because they're getting married later, and because even though they graduate college, they can't find a good paying job. Or they can't afford to pay the rent outside, so they decide to live again with their family. This one family went to court to throw their 35-year-old son out of the house because he was not cooperating with them in some way, and they made a case.
I remember somebody told me in my office, I was just discussing this point with him. So he said that there is a law that legally you can do that.
I never heard of that law. Legally, the child can move out of the house when they're 18 if they want to.
Another thing,
You can tell the child to leave. You say, well, you're an adult now, I can't support you anymore, leave the house. You can't evict them. You can't evict them legally unless they're doing something, like stealing, taking drugs or something.
Another thing, the children, grown-up children, they don't want to live with their parents. And they don't want their parents to visit them also. So that's, I'm
Yeah.
not able to understand why, because in office, one lady was there and she was saying that my parents are visiting from India, and then my in-laws are visiting me. So another person, American person was there. He said oh man, for 12 months, out of 12 months, 6 months, your parents are here. So how you are
Coping with it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's.
why that? Why that thing came in basically, and he was expecting that that's too much, or while even they are coming.
Well, look, every situation is different, but it's a question of culture. But I know many Indian families, like the wife says, oh no, my husband's parents are going to stay 6 months.
Yeah, definitely there's a lot of people are like that. But that's a different story.
No, it's the same story. It's the same story. Mother-in-law doesn't agree with her daughter-in-law, right?
Yeah.
She thinks her son made a mistake marrying her.
Even though they choose the...
Even though they chose the boy, they think there's a mistake, So then they're trying to convince the daughter to divorce this guy and we'll find you another husband. Happens all the time in India. I mean,